And welcome to episode 507 of the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook, and I'm your host, joined this week by Chris Hyde. Hi, Chris.
Hello, mate. Hello. 2023.
2023, isn't that right, Lyle Carr?
That's right. That is the year that it is.
Some more banter for you, Mick Fraser?
I don't believe it's 2023. I think he's lying.
Well,
there we go.
Yeah. Let me look it up. Wait. No, he's right. It is.
No,
yeah,
okay. I'm afraid it is. I'm afraid. I mean, I've got a calendar and everything here. Like,
that makes me almost 26.
But like, this is January, and it's what? Sorry.
That makes me almost 26.
Just because you shaved the beard off, like you've suddenly like dropped 30 years. Well, not 30 years.
30 years.
Oh, nothing's changed.
Off, to be fair.
We just thought, what better way than to get over the hangover of 12 to 13 hours of podcasting by doing another podcast the instant the opportunity comes up in 2023. So we're here because the thing is while we were recording, normally this time of year it would be a bit of a panic to be like, well, we might as well just take another week off because there's nothing to talk about. Like, there's no games yet, and we talked. Actually, quite a few kind of came out that we either didn't get a chance to talk about or talked about very briefly. And we can start that off because, like, Chris Hyde, at the time of doing the Game of the Year stuff, you hadn't played High on Life, I don't believe. And I'm guessing what you're going to tell us is that, that's a shame, it would have been number one, right?
No, I don't quite think I'd be arguing it for Game of the Year, but I really enjoyed High on Life, I have to say. I think there's, we didn't talk about it a great deal, I don't think. I know a lot's been made of the humour that it doubles down on, I guess, very sort of, I guess, like Rick and Morty style humour, for want of a better word.
It's Roiland, isn't it? It's Roiland
style.
Yeah,
it is. And
it's Solar Opposites, it's Rick and Morty. It's his brand.
Yeah, and it doubles down on it in a variety of ways throughout the game. You either like it or you don't. And I like it. And I think I think that the good thing with it is that it owns what it wants to be. It's not afraid of being what it is. And it just kind of, it runs with it throughout the duration. It's not just like a couple of quirky one-liners and then it just forgets, 20 minutes in and it's just dull. That's the style it wants to go for. That's the humor. That's the setting. That's the world that it kind of, or multiple world thing that it creates, and it just goes some stuff, with it.
I don't know if you've seen, sometimes like it's that thing on YouTube. If you watch a video on something, you'll get then loads of not recommendations, but shorts on it and videos related, like the algorithm. Because I watched through our video review to check it worked. I got stuff for High on Life, and once the game was out, people started discovering there's a lot more to this game. Like, the game is the game, the story is the story, but there's a lot of kind of extraneous stuff that I didn't know. I mean, there's some stuff, because I don't want to sort of get us demonetized by saying it too early in the episode, but there's some, like, obviously very strong language in the game, but there's some kind of stuff that pays off much, much later from a kind of world-building perspective that, like, it's more than you think it is, I think.
There is much more to it, and it's interesting. You obviously were joking about the whole Game of the Year stuff, but like we spoke quite a lot in Game of the Year with like audio and stuff for some very good games about stuff that doesn't need to be there. If you don't do certain things with certain characters, you don't hear large swathes of audio. And this game has that in droves. If you've got a particular gun out and you do a particular mission with a particular gun, you hear completely different stuff, and you don't hear all the other guns' reactions to certain situations. And there's quite a lot of extreme situations that happen, let's just say. And I thought that was quite impressive, because there are some moments where they're like, we'll just let this gun talk. But most of the time,
Kenny talks more than the others, doesn't he? Like, he chips in and comes up on your radio.
Some of them come up on your I've got something to say. But most of the time, it's the gun you're holding that's reacting to whatever's going on around you.
But I think they do that in a clever way, because, like, I don't want people to think that, of course it's Kenny that always pips in because that's Roiland.
The others do as well.
They do, but like the thing is as well is that what people probably won't know.
Where the story takes it.
But this is what I was going to say as well. But like at the start of the game, when you first get sort of unleashed, you get to choose between two different bounties, and whatever bounty you do decides which gun you get next.
Yeah.
So there is a sort of mechanical reason, I guess, for why
Well,
because
also,
that is the
if
gun you have, you know.
So you can do some clever stuff there. There's so if you do the bounty where you get Gus first, shotgun.
Yes. See, I didn't. I did that second, well, third. I suppose.
Well, and I only did it because I'd read this somewhere, so I wanted to see it. But if you do the bounty where you get Gus first, you know the mission where you've got to change all the tubes for the alien octopus to get through.
Yes.
So and it is it. Can we spoil this yet?
I don't. Do we need to?
Well, okay. I try.
The thing is if you see that character earlier in the game and you know it, you're like, oh my god, they weren't even trying to hide it. Actually.
Okay. Let's just say that if you have Gus first.
Oh, I've seen this clip. Yes.
That Gus picks up on the lie.
Subterfuge.
That's all I'll say. Without Gus picks up on it and he tells you.
Yep.
What you and then if you do it, you still get the same thing happens, but in a different way, and
it's a slightly different bus. Well, the voice works different.
The same. Yeah, but it's got some bits like you said. This is a game that could have quite easily just gone, oh, I'm funny, and then just left it at that. But I mean, I said to you the other day that I just downloaded it, started playing it. I've not been able to stop. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really well made game. The mechanics are great. You've got all these like this Metroidvania type of.
I didn't want to say that word, so I'm glad you have, if that makes sense, because I feel like everything's got it now. No, but it's true.
I think they even championed it as being it, didn't they?
I didn't know that.
They come out and said, "Oh, it's Metroidvania."
Yeah,
can I just, whilst you say that, can I just ask a genuine question? Did any of you guys wish there was a map? Or not?
No,
I haven't needed one. I'm only through. I think I've done 3 of the bounties so far, so I'm not finished it. I'm not as far through.
I think it's more that I like going and collecting.
Yeah, I bet you wanted a map.
Maybe in the hub area, the kind of where your home base is, that sort of the metropolis area. Maybe there, perhaps, because I must admit, when I first played it, it was a bit disorientating sometimes, but it didn't take too long before I was like. I mean, I think it's once you get knifey and you can do the sort of
knifey. There's not enough.
Do you know what? That was the one thing I was like.
There needs to be way more knifey.
I was like, when I got knifey, and in fact, I stand by this, having finished the game. I'd have wanted him as a conversation for best new character.
Yeah. You know what?
Funny.
Damn good
so
shout.
Good.
Damn good
you only get him in like the boss fight. Once you've got him, he only pops up at the boss fights, and it's fucking hilarious.
There is one brilliant bit where he pops up later on. It's so good, but
I kind of recognise his voice, but I can't quite. I kind of recognise his voice. Like, I'm sure if I saw the voice actor's name, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay. But I kind of, it's one of those where I just can't quite place it.
But I thought that the alien that you fought, what's his name, Zaruthian, the bounty hunter with no legs that ends up on your couch for the whole game.
Well, that's another one. You can knife him. Like, you know, at the start, you did. Okay, so I didn't. I didn't know this at the start of the game. When you're getting knifey, the whole point is he wants to knife people.
You to stab him.
And he tells you to, and a button prompt appears, and I'm like, I kind of do want to, but I also probably shouldn't. And I was like,
if you do, Gene, when you do, Gene, he just starts shouting that you're a slave to the UI. You do whatever the fucking UI tells you to.
Do whatever the game tells you to. And I was like, I kind of did there.
Yeah, no, fair.
But even that character, I thought when he was first on the couch, I thought this guy's going to piss me off. Like, this is going to be one of those characters where I don't want to go back to the house. But because you keep going back and you've got your sister there and him. But then they're big, like, after a while, there's like this like family dynamic starts to build up between them, where he's like
also so much dialogue. Like, there's so much. Like, every time I go back to the house, I'm like, almost to the point where like, well, look, I am actually gonna go because I want to go and play and Metroidvania. Yeah. But there's so much dialogue, and again, I think
there's several movies in the game. You can go to
there is a full movie.
There's a couple of full movies that you can sit and watch. They have that Tammy and the T-Rex playing in the house when you go in.
But they also have like everything that's on telly kind of all the time. Is like, if you're familiar with Rick and Morty, it's kind of like interdimensional cable. Yeah, it's kind of that on all the time. And I did, because I do like those episodes of them, and I did find myself occasionally stopping and just looking at it and going, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have to play this game.
But I'm sure I haven't been compelled. Like, I'm sure Chris Hyde has been compelled to find all those lock boxes that you can find and open
if I
with
see
knifey.
him, if I see him,
But
I want them.
this is the thing. I've only seen them and then gone for them. I've not thought I want to.
The wiggly
I
ones.
just want to push through and see the next joke, the next
I
gag,
do,
the next
but
story beat. And...
yeah, I definitely have got to the highest places I can in levels and looked around for a little wave.
There is invisible wall in the main hub area that you can't go any higher than, I found. So the other thing I was going to ask you guys is, do you know the scene? It sounds like you've all got there, because you definitely have. You've definitely got this far. There's a room where they're like, well, and now you're going to have to just wait for an hour.
Oh yeah.
You can, and they have put something in there if you do that. And again, I think. Look,
I did wonder that actually.
No, it's there. There's something there. There's something at like halfway through, and they're like, "Well, that's halfway. This is the game sort of thing." And then there is one for if you do the whole hour, and it does open up and let you through. I think.
Did you know there's a false achievement in it as well?
How do you mean?
So
yeah, because it comes up.
There's an option to go to an alien strip club. Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, why not?
I think you have to for the story anyway. But whether you do or not, you get an achievement that is spent 15 hours in an alien strip club.
Yeah. So what? So
I
don't know how far you've got. Have you got it?
No, I have just seen it.
So basically, there's this. It happens in like a boss fight with like AI hacking and stuff. And this boss just goes like, fuck it, I'm going to give you this achievement that says you spent 15 hours in an alien strip club, even though you haven't, but all your mates are going to see that you have. And I was just like, oh my God,
I like that gag.
what's going on here?
Gag a lot.
It's so good.
The thing is,
It
right,
plays with the meta a lot.
It does. And the thing is I don't think there's nothing anyone on this podcast could say, whether they enjoyed or didn't enjoy this game, that would change the mind of someone who just doesn't like that humour.
No.
But from a mechanical point of view, I enjoy the movement. It reminds me a bit of Borderlands. And there is a large portion of the gaming audience that do not appreciate Borderlands for the humour. Funnily enough, again, a lot of people don't like it for the humour. Lyle, I didn't actually know you played it, mate. Apologies. So, you're about as far as Mick by the sound of it.
Yeah. I think I've done the first 3 bounties. So I got to pick one, then do the other, but did it the other way around. But yeah, I was really impressed with it. I mean, I do what you're saying about the humour.
Yeah.
Very much. There's no convincing anyone who doesn't like that, because it's
really
constant.
crass, and it's really
Did any of you meet the alien who sells fluids?
Yeah. Did you buy any? Because I bought any.
Yes. Yeah, of course I did. I'm actually not going to say what that is on the podcast, so we'll mention it afterwards. But there's a you meet him elsewhere as well, and but then he comes back and he's got like the kind of Resident Evil, merchant thing, and he's not selling weapons. Chris, John, looks at your face. You didn't meet him.
No, I'm trying to remember because I definitely bought some.
Remember. No, you'd remember.
I bought some, and then I thought that didn't do anything. So
no, it doesn't do anything, I don't think. Well, it might.
That?
It don't think it does anything at all, does it? It might.
No,
but...
I don't
it hasn't
think so
far. I just thought it was hilarious, and I just wanted to see what happened.
There were other things that I've done, which I won't spoil, that I thought were brilliant as well.
I like it when you shoot. I like it when you try and shoot an NPC and he just tells you off for it outright. Like, what the fuck are you doing trying to shoot an NPC? Did you shoot the kid?
I shot
Did you shoot the kid?
I think you have to shoot the kid, right?
I don't think you have to.
I don't know.
No, you don't have to.
I would say maybe
I
you
did.
do,
They've got to be a little
shy,
but you don't have to. I've read it up on it that you can. But
what about the pushy guys? What about the guys?
Yeah, I shot them.
The pushy guys.
See, I went past them, and they just keep swearing at you until you are basically out of range.
Yeah, so I was the bigger man there and didn't.
Yeah, no, I just ran around the side and jumped.
Yeah, because you can. But later on, I just, for a laugh, there's a next part of a quest with them for something completely separate with some of the others. And I was just like, because they're being a bit gobby, and I haven't tried to shoot an NPC for a while, so just tried to do it, expecting to be told off again. And he just stacked it on the floor dead. And I was like...
He shoots me in the head.
Yeah, and I was like, what's happening? Like, you've shot him. I'm like... What?
It would make a good highlight reel on YouTube.
I've shot him, and I'm like, but how would they know? Like, the game didn't ask me to shoot him. I just shot him because I just fancied it.
But the guy that's left is like, they were assholes anyway.
Yeah.
It's well worth if you didn't shoot them the first time.
Yeah.
We're looking at a video of someone who did, because it is. I watched it and it's funny. It's really weird. I was kind of expecting a bit more like. I don't know. I mean, I know we scored it like 8 out of 10, I think, and I was kind of expecting, one of you to be like, yeah, no, I don't like it. I'm quite
the
surprised.
only issue I really had is like I do think the enemies are like a little bit sort of dull
Samey.
to fight.
Yeah,
You fight them a lot, and they're
Yeah.
very often just yellow guys who you shoot, and there's not much to it. But like, it's
No.
such a fun game. It's so
Yes.
hard to not just think it's fun. Like, and then as you unlock, your different abilities and get more guns and stuff, it just gets better. Like,
Nice looking game as well, by the way.
Yeah,
really
Like
nice.
a really nice looking game. And I played it on PC, and I'm presuming like on Xbox it runs smooth and everything. But like because I actually hadn't finished it yet, right? And the reason being is that when we were playing it pre-release, in fact, as of now, and there's a news piece on God Is a Geek you can go and read. It has cloud save on Steam, okay, and it didn't, which meant I got 5 hours in on PC where I'm sat right now, and I went and picked up the Steam Deck and thought I'm going to carry on with this now over the Christmas period. It's going to be perfect to sit and play this, and then you're like, oh no, you're not, and it's a real sort of kind of first world problem thing, if you know what I mean. But it really did literally stop me in my tracks, and because I could only play it in here, so I would have finished it by now. Yeah, I mean, I like that humour. I like Rick and Morty, so I don't know. I guess it just seems to be a lot of joyless people at the moment. I don't know. I just found it funny, and it's colourful, and it's like it's adult, I suppose.
The point is, if you like the humour, the game is made well enough.
Oh,
right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you like the humour, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you don't like the humour, there's too much of it to not get past the fact the game is still made well. So it's fundamentally, if you like that humour, definitely play it because it's a good game.
Yeah,
and that we've talked about some moments that made us like.
I mean, you can turn all the chatter off. You can turn the enemy chatter off.
Yeah,
the gun chatter. You can switch. And I know you've still got the overall game, but if you're the sort of joyless cunt that's going to just play it and not try and shoot an NPC or whatever, then. You can turn
it almost feels like a game that, because it's in Game Pass, it was very easy for people to purposefully play knowing they wouldn't really like it, but just to have something to gnash their teeth on, if that makes sense. Because I'm not saying you should like it or there's something wrong with it if you don't, but I do also think that watching a single trailer of it is literally a case of, look, I like this kind of humour, so as long as when I pick the controller up, the guns don't feel awful, I'm going to have a good time. Whereas if you watch the trailer and go, oh, it's that kind of thing, then you just don't play it. Like, whether it's in Game Pass or not, don't even bother. Don't waste your bandwidth, because you're not going to get on with it.
But I find it more... I find it... So, the humour, like we said, it is crass, it is Rick and Morty stuff, but it's better humour than, like... So, Borderlands can get very stale, and, like, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just we've had Borderlands for a long time. No, I like Borderlands humour, don't get me wrong, but we've had it for a long time. And it is kind of the same jokes. It is the butt stallion and the Tina and all that sort of stuff. Whereas... And I can see why people might have got a bit maybe frustrated with that. But like I said, this one you can tailor. If you don't want to hear the chatter, turn it off. And then the actual game itself is pretty good. And I know you've still got to go through the boss stuff and the actual story. And I guess even the story might be too much for some people to bother getting their head.
Yeah, but man, what point are we at here? Are we at the point here where developer like God of War needs to put in a skip every cutscene moment or no dialogue moment? Like at some point we have to kind of accept that someone's made a game they wanted to make.
Yeah.
This is what. I agree. I think
I'm not saying those options shouldn't be there, by the way. And this isn't an accessibility chat at all. This is it's the Mass Effect 3 ending chat, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's that all over again.
I prefer the fact that they stuck to their guns and doubled down on it.
Yeah, and they have.
I'd have had much less fun with this.
I've laughed at this game more than I've laughed at any of the games.
I laughed during the tutorial. During the tutorial,
I genuinely kept on laughing.
I mean, that bit was the only bit they asked us not to spoil as well. Like, that was the only bit they said, look, the game's a game, the embargo's this, but please, if you could, please don't spoil that intro. And I'm not going to hear because there's no need to, but I was laughing straight away.
It was fantastic, that intro. But the door that you can go through where you've got the
pink
and the blue guy.
What bit you're talking about? Yeah. Brilliant.
Where you've got the pink and the blue guy arguing. They ask you which one's. But then every time for the rest of the game that you walk past,
he proper hates you.
Just carries on going.
He literally despises.
But it's never repeated.
And
it's never the same insults or the same sound bites. It's always different.
It's no one looks forward to walking through a door, but somehow they've managed to make something as rudimentary as that. Oh, well, I can't wait. He's going to say something. He's going to have me for this. And when you go through it again, it's on us. I had such a good time with it. Really enjoyed it.
That voice, oh God, what's the name of the TV show? The voice of I'm trying to picture them in my head. The nicer one of those. I think it's the red guy, isn't it? I think blue guy's the angry one, isn't he? And red guy's the nice. I'm not actually sure now, but either way, he's quite a famous voice actor. Like it's oh god, what's it called? It's really popular. They're coming to the second series of it. They're 10 episodes long. It's like a yellow kind of alien-looking guy that walks around, and he's got exactly the same. It's his voice actor, and I cannot now for the life of me think what it's called. So I'll ask Chris Hyde to tell us what else he's been playing, perhaps. And
so
I'll
the other Christmas game I've been playing is Chained Echoes.
Christmas game, you say?
I've lost them anyway.
Christmas game, you say?
Yeah, like games you play over Christmas because it's a quieter period and you get into them.
Okay.
But yeah, it was High on Life and Chained Echoes. Quite different.
Couldn't really be more different.
No. I haven't quite finished Chained Echoes, but I've played a good chunk of it. Like, I reckon it's ramping up towards the end-ish now. So
yeah,
20-something hours.
I imagine that's quite a lot, yes.
What's that?
Yeah, that will be a lot of time if you're viewing close.
Yeah, 25 or something hours, I reckon. So I don't know if I'm right near the end, but you know when in RPGs when they start revealing stuff and all that sort of stuff, it seems to get it's ramping up. So, I mean, Lyle, you reviewed this, right?
I did.
10 out of 10 was it?
10 out of 10.
So I really like this game. I agree with a lot of what you've said. I think it's very much feels like an old school turn-based RPG, but it's got plenty of its own ideas to make it feel like it's its own beast. Had I played more of it for the game of the year, we might have had a different conversation. But it came out so bloody late.
It's so late.
It should have come out in July, and we could have had a good conversation about it. But it's a really I love so much about it. Like, I find the story really interesting. I can't second guess it, which is always good. I like the characters. I like the way that the combat has evolved over in playing. The combat itself is, despite being turn-based, the whole overdrive, overheat dynamic keeps it fresh. The whole non-Sky Armor stuff is different as well. Mm-hmm. Skyrim itself opens up a load of stuff later on. I found myself, there's a whole base building stuff that goes on as well. There's a lot of stuff in this game that, despite it being a turn-based RPG story, that you actually just, you explore quite a lot of the world very quickly. I was quite surprised by that. I was like, although we must be going to all these other places later. We may be going to, but I don't think we are. I think I've explored quite a lot of them. But the way that they work with, you can't access all the areas straight away, and there's a couple of extra areas, I think is really quite clever. And yeah, I can't stop playing it. There's, I'm not sure I'd quite go like 10 out of 10, but
yeah,
I can see why there's passion there. I can't not play it. I will definitely finish it. Really want to. I was saying to Adam, I have to get this game finished before something like Fire Emblem Engage comes out or something, because I can't be stacking big games like this year, or I'm left in a triangle strategy situation. So I want to get this one finished. But yeah, we haven't talked about it a lot properly, so I will kind of let you chip in. And I know Adam's got thoughts on it as well. But yeah, I think
sold. Mick's
on
played it too. I think Mick played Chained Echoes as well.
Another 4?
I'm sure.
I played 3 or 4 hours of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I haven't been back to it since. I haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
But by the way, sorry, before I forget, and just in case anyone listening, this is winding them up as well. The TV show is Smiling Friends that I was thinking of. The TV show is Smiling Friends. The guy who voices
not forgotten that you were looking at that.
It's been like, honestly, so annoying. Smiling Friends, and it's the guy who plays the yellow guy in there. But yeah, okay. Chained Echoes. Well, Lol, we did talk about it a bit on the Game of the Year, didn't we?
I think you did.
We talked about it slightly at the Game of the Year, but not on any main pods. And it wasn't for that long, because obviously we had quite a lot to talk about at Game of the Year. It was quite a busy time. But yeah, everything that Chris said, I agree with.
I think I really played that much of it as well at the time.
Yeah, I think it was just. I imagine it was pretty much just me at the. Oh no, Adam had played a bit too.
Yeah.
At that point, but it was. I can't even remember if it was out when we were recording the podcasts. In fact, so
It was very much on the cusp of when the review came out, I think.
Something like that, definitely. Yeah, but like, everything that Chris said, I obviously pretty much agree with. Like, I think, and I probably said this at Game of the Year as well, but like the thing that impresses me the most about that game is like they don't waste your time at all. You run at a perfect speed.
Yeah,
the combat
I love
is
that.
so snappy. Like it, and then you don't have to worry about healing between battles. And then the battle system, the whole overheat, overdrive type thing means that every fight you always have to be thinking. You can't just like mash attack. This is not a mash attack RPG.
It really annoys me when I forget.
I was going to ask you how far in that you stop forgetting, because you've both played more than me, and
I still occasionally get right into the kind of motion of it, thinking, right, you little fucker, I'm going to have you with this move now, and then I've forgotten, and I've just tipped over into like overheat or something. Like, oh no, that's a schoolboy shit. Have I got someone to bring me back down? Oh no, I haven't. Crap, and you know, so I do sometimes still forget about it. Not forget in terms of the mechanic, but like it slips in accidentally because I'm a rogue. I play on the edge. So like sometimes I do, but more often than not, because obviously it's quite handy. You know, it tells you in bloody yellow font. These are the ones that reduce it. It's not shy about it, you know. So, but I do occasionally. I'm not going to pretend that I haven't cocked up a fight because I've accidentally gone into overheat. But
yeah, no, I've done that plenty too. And then alongside the combat as well, which is great. And I also think there are some really clever things they do with the combat, even before the Sky Armor. Things like there's like a minecart ride section where you're fighting and you have to sort of control where you're going on a minecart, or different things happen, and loads of things like that happen throughout. And then outside of that, like I think the way they handle exploration and like all the different bonuses you get for getting like so many chests in an area or fighting big enemies in an area, it means that everywhere feels so like packed and important to explore. Like it doesn't feel like you should leave before you're like, well, I haven't taken on that like optional boss yet, and maybe that'll be something that can give me just the right amount on this grid of rewards that then you'll unlock like the next thing that levels up all your characters, because you don't even level up traditionally. You basically find items and everyone levels up. And it just, I love the way it works so much. Like, I mean, I gave it a 10. I'm pretty passionate about it, but yeah, it's just, it took everything that you love about like retro RPGs, and it was like, what if we made one now and did everything really, really well? And yeah, they kind of nailed it. He.
Yeah.
Do you want that to lead into the other RPG you played, sort of?
Oh, I thought you were going to counter with, I think it's a 6, and this is
no,
why.
No, not at all. Like, I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it obviously quite as much as you and Lyle have. Like, it's I totally agree with a lot of what you said. Like, it respects your time. I don't think I've ever played a sort of a game of that ilk that moves as quickly as it does. I mean, physically moves. You know, you as a character, how quickly you move around. It just goes, and that. I think that's brilliant. I think there are elements where it's almost allows a little bit too much choice. That sounds really terrible when I say it out loud. But like, there are elements where you can get to a boss and not so much get stuck, but have to really, really repeatedly play it because you've spec'd a certain way, and it doesn't want you to be spec'd that way. Now, I think I might have got just a bit unlucky with that. I don't know.
We talked about this, and it really did seem like it, because I couldn't figure out how there was this specific boss fight that managed to magically fuck you over quite so royally. But...
There was, and like, I actually ended up watching a little video of it on YouTube, and as soon as I watched it, I was like, yep, I hadn't spec'd that way at all, and as soon as I sort of fiddled around with it a bit, it's like, it works fine. So it was just a bit of bad luck, and I don't hold it against the game at all for that.
What I would say, my experience of it, particularly in the early game, is that normally in RPGs, get thrown a lot of stuff that you can tweak and meddle around with.
Yeah,
and I just normally go, I don't worry about that. I'm good at these games. I'll be fine with how I want to play, and I don't need to worry about that section and that section, because that probably will help me, but it sounds like a lot of faff. What I found in this game is you do kind of, especially at the start, there are some places where in the early game there are some difficulty spikes, and if you're not using everything at your disposal, like you're doing all the stuff you've just talked about now with the reward board and specking and switching in and maximizing everything, I think you can get unstuck. And then, because I was doing that, I was like, I don't need to worry about that bit. It has explained it, I understand it, but yeah, whatever. And I was like, no, I've actually got stuck a couple of times. And then when I've used the things the game actually gives me, I'm like, okay, it's absolutely fine. I am more than what I need to be, which is interesting because I mean, it gives you everything you need to do to win. But like say sometimes in other games, I'm like, I don't need all that. I'm fucking brilliant. But you can't grind like normal. You kind of have to play the game as it's designed to be played. Like you say, you level up in a different way. So once I got my head around that, I was like, well, it's fine. I'm really enjoying my time with it, and looking forward to playing it again.
It was robbed. That's what we're saying. It was robbed.
I don't think that's what we're saying. It does lead slightly into sports story. I don't think we need to dwell on this too long in terms of the discussion, because I think that game's going to get patched and updated. I just what a shame. I think it was one of those. It wasn't quite Hollow Knight Silk Song levels of people were like, "When's it coming? When's it coming?" And then they, it was a Nintendo Direct, wasn't it? An Indie Direct where they said, "Oh, it's coming in December."
I did see a lot of hype for it.
No, definitely people were excited for it. Absolutely. And the cold hard truth of it is that when you actually play it, like, there's no point. I mean, I didn't play it much, if I'm honest with you, because I bounced off it very hard. But there was very early on where I was like, this doesn't feel like it was ready to be released. And not that like, oh, this is straight up bad. Just this doesn't feel like it was ready. There's just sometimes I feel like you can just feel it. And stuff's come out since where that room,
there's some pretty damning stuff that's come out since.
It just seems like it's missing like the final layer of polish. It feels like there's the lack of tutorializing. It doesn't feel right, Lyle, does it?
It doesn't at all. And I mean, you stopped where you did, and I think if you carried on, you would feel even stronger about that, to be honest, because it only gets worse as you play on. Like, obviously, kind of the hook of this compared to Golf Story is that there's more than just golf. So there's all these other sports that you'll be playing sort of like mini games of as you go around these worlds exploring and, doing your little RPG bits. And almost all the other sports aren't fun to play for various reasons. Like tennis, it's really hard to return the ball because you have to wait till it's practically past your character to hit it back. And it's just one of those things where it's like...
And let's be clear, returning the ball is quite a key part of tennis, if memory serves.
You would think so, wouldn't you? Another key part of tennis is like being able to aim where you want to hit the ball. I also don't know how to do that after completing the game. It just is one of those things where, like, there were mini games where it was like bounce the ball in this circle and this circle, and it was like, well, if I play it about 10 times, at some point the ball will go
just
where I
randomly
land
there.
And it did, and I was like, okay, well, I got past that section but I have no idea how to aim a ball in a tennis mini game. And then you've got like cycling, which is sort of like if Excite Bike was a bit worse, and that's an NES game. Or you've got cricket, where as you move left to right, your character gets stuck on nothing almost no matter what. So it's really hard to position yourself where the ball's supposed to be. And then on top of that, like in terms of like when you are outside of the sports in the environments exploring and like getting given little objectives, loads of them will like just be really dull, like pick up all the rubbish in this room. And it's like, well, I'm just walking around a room pressing A on nothing. It's really not enjoyable. It's like sort of RPG busy work, but in the worst possible way. And the performance is pretty terrible. Like there are certain sections of the game where like the frame rate is pretty dire. There was one that had like 3 like very small bees that were flying around in a section. There's a section where you have to deal with bees, and the bees really tanked the frame rate. They were like tiny little pixel bees, and they just like the frame rate was like doomed. It was like, nope, can't handle that. I also there's a very, very prevalent bug that I got to experience, which about 3 hours into the game, there's an item you can pick up through a wall, which will mean that you have to restart your save file or wait for a patch to continue.
Has that patch
I don't know
yet.
yet. No, I've not. I haven't noticed. But I mean, while I was reviewing it, which was, we didn't get early code. It was when the game had released. Like,
Well, we bought it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So
I don't know if any. I mean, I don't know. God only knows. Do you know what I mean? But like, it just, everything about it feels. Do you know, like when people talk about like Destiny, what other game, like, where people say, oh, one day there'll be a book written on Destiny, and there was all the stories about the engine and how hard they found it to do stuff once they I don't want to talk about Destiny. We did that on Game of the Year, Mick. Don't just pretend you didn't hear any of that. Move on.
Like No Man's Sky again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. No Man's Sky is a great one.
No Man's Sky as an example instead. Yeah.
Yeah, like No Man's Sky. How people would say one day there could be like a book written on that, and you'd love to read it. And whoever gets the gig, so to speak, for writing the book and getting to bed in with the studios like that. Obviously, it's not on that grand. It's not like them, is it? It's not that grand a scale sort of thing. But I think that. Because when I saw that video you sent about the sort of hidden room, where they basically sort of say about how, it wasn't finished. Part of it was like, I don't know, you can read a lot into things. Like, did they initially put that in as a joke about games that get released like that?
Mm.
Or am I overthinking it and it is them putting it in there as like a cry for help? Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just
sounds good. Sounds great.
It's
not awful. It's not awful. It's just it's kind of disappointing because of what people wanted it to be and what it could have been, and it didn't.
Sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, I was going to say it probably is awful, but I do think in like a couple of months it might not be awful. Might be a good sort of.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like it shouldn't have. I don't know where the pressure comes from. It's one of those things where you need to be involved in the development level and find out, like, was the pressure from Nintendo, them saying, look, we spotlighted you. You said December. It's December.
It was a fucking game.
Or did they just get to the point where they threw their hands up in the air as a developer and said, we can't. It's gonna be another year. We got to get this out. I don't know. We'll never know, perhaps. But yeah. I mean, until it gets a hefty patch. I don't want to say avoid, but within an hour I was like, I'm not playing any of this anymore at the moment. Yeah. This needs more time in the oven. Like, it just needs a lot more time. Like, it's Fetch Quest Central. It's telling you to do things, and you're like, well, I've played games for like 30 plus years, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell do you want me to do? And I grew up playing these games. Like, what do you want me to... Let's move on to a game. I haven't got any footage to show people who are, if they're watching the video version of this, but Need for Speed Unbound also came out just before the sort of the melee of the holiday rush. And Mick, you reviewed it. It seemed alright. Like it's not one of those bad Need for Speed games, is it?
I wouldn't say. I don't think it's bad. I think I scored it a 6. So it's in the upper.
It actually feels like so long ago.
Yeah, I tell you what it is. It's one of those games that it's like two games. So there's this. On the one hand, you've got a Need for Speed, which feels pretty much like a standard Need for Speed game. Like the controls aren't, the handling isn't the best, but it's an arcade racer, And this is Criterion. They're good at what they do. It for me, I just miss being able to smash people, like do the takedowns, like you sort of do in Burnout and things, but.
You say Criterion. It's not the Criterion that we think of an our age group going, Burnout. That doesn't exist anymore. I don't think, does it?
No. But the name does, and the name gives you that, for me anyway, and people probably of our age, the name does evoke that, so you kind of want that. I don't mind the game itself. Like, I quite enjoyed it. Like, the actual racing is quite fun. I think it looks gorgeous in places. But then you've got this other half of the game that kind of reminded me of, like, when we talked, when I was reviewing Ubisoft Riders Republic, I think it was a couple of years, a year before, or I can't even remember when that game was now. But it's got this kind of, it's kind of like this. It's kind of cool if your dad wrote cool, and I'm saying if your dad, and I'm a dad, like I'm in my 40s, I'm a dad, and I'm talking like. My dad wrote this game. It's kind of too much, and I think it tries a little bit too hard. I felt like
like a bunch of suits have thought what cool is, that kind of thing.
Well,
I don't.
maybe that,
I
but-
want to have. This is the thing I really want to know, right? Because I've got teenage kids. Yours are a bit younger.
Well, they didn't get it either, though.
But this is what I was going to ask. So you and I, well, all four of us grew up playing the Need for Speeds, the Burnouts. Not to say we're the reason it got popular, but people like us who played it when it first started. Are the reason, yeah,
The tastemakers.
no, but you know what I mean. Like, so, and if it doesn't appeal to us, that kind of narrative and storytelling style as a demographic, then you go, right, well, maybe this is aimed at the second most obvious one is the youth with 2 O's, and an F. But my kids would not, absolutely not enjoy this.
Well,
what's going on in the story stuff? It's not
cringe.
Is that what it is?
Cringe. Yeah, well, that's what I got told it was. But like,
by whom?
My daughter.
Oh,
The youth.
And she's 14, so maybe she's not quite there. But either way, she's got a finger on the cultural touchstone more than I have these days, I'm sure. But like, so the game itself is all right. Like, I don't want to rag on it because it's a Need for Speed game, and it felt like one. Like when you're in the races, when you're doing the events, or you're driving to the events, I liked all that stuff. I think they, like we said, it's not the same criterion, but you expect a level of you want the physics to do something like in a Need for Speed game. You want to feel like you're ragging a car as fast as it can possibly go, and if you hit something, you're going to go. And you kind of just, I think that the word for it is kind of just okay. Like, it's not a bad game, but it didn't do anything to thrill me. And I went into it quite excited because I'd seen the trailers and all that flashy, that like it's kind of like the characters are like cartoony, almost anime.
Well, there was definitely that kind of, we're back, this is going to be one of the good ones, but they keep doing that.
And it was kind of like the juxtaposition of like those cartoony characters and like the weird like cartoony exhaust effects and all that sort of stuff. But then the cars, the driving, the cities, it just that looks like a normal Need for Speed game. So for me, I just kept thinking, maybe you didn't need all this stuff. Like, maybe you could have just given us maybe some more events or given us those physics we want. Let me ram someone into a wall and take their, left side of the car off or whatever. Give us that stuff and leave the street cool crap, because it didn't need it. All that stuff where, like, the storyline, like, I like a storyline in a Need for Speed. Like when you played like Hot Pursuit, and the storyline is just you're either a cop or you're a criminal. You're either running from cops or you're chasing criminals. That's the storyline. That's all it needs. You don't need anything else. You don't even need what they did with Jesse Pink. What's the guys? Aaron Paul, when they made the film, and they were like, "Oh, my brother got killed by a racer, and I just got out of prison," or whatever. It doesn't sound like that.
Great
like
accent.
4'2", but like, but that kind of like, you don't even need that in Need for Speed. You just need, we're chasing you, so drive faster.
Do you not
Drive
think
fast, yeah.
But do you not think they're stuck between stations, and that if they make a game like that without any of that, people will go, you can't just put out a racing game with no story in 2020, whatever year they're talking
now
about.
You say that, it definitely felt like the sort of game where someone at Criterion, probably not at EA because I don't give much, but like someone at Criterion probably sat there, looked at the reviews and went, well, what the fuck do you actually want then? Because we've put everything, like someone's got a list of stuff that could possibly
just make Burnout Paradise.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah,
Just
that's what we want.
That's what we want.
Someone's got a bullet points on a board that says Racing Games 2022, and they've put all these things in, and then they've gone, it didn't do very well. And the guy's gone, but it's all in there.
That's what they wanted. But don't you think, like,
Yes.
with like, so you got Dead Space obviously this month, that is a straight up remake. Like, they've gone from what they're saying, it's like 1-to-1 but new graphics. I'm sure there'll be slightly modernised feel to it, but they're making another Skate, aren't they? So don't you think at some point that they will have to just go, right, fine, we'll be making Burnout Paradise? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe they should have done that with this, but I think.
But they can't. Not in a post Forza Horizon world, because that's taken the mantle.
Yeah, and because, see, Forza used to be like the sim, and this was the arcade. Yeah. But like, play Forza Horizon the year before Forza Horizon, it did the arcade stuff better than most other games as well.
It does. That game's great.
They do all that, and it's, I guess, they're probably in a position now where it's difficult to continue the brand. But maybe like, you don't always have to continue the brand. And I know there's fans of Need for Speed that would curse me for saying it, but you don't always have to bring stuff back. Like, you could try something new. You could make a new racing franchise.
That's just not going to happen, though. They are never ever going to drop the brand name now. Not now. I mean, not. There's
But
not a
it's
film
like the
called Burnout
Battlefield thing.
Paradise,
I mean,
is there?
after but I mean, you look at stuff like Battlefield 2042. I know that's a much better game now than it was at launch. But even then, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe it's just time to not do Battlefield for a couple of years.
But that's like, I get it. But that's you're living in that idealized.
Like mixed musings corner or something where he's just going off on a tangent.
You're asking for the game publishers to be self-aware for 5 minutes.
The cold hard truth is you're asking them to give up money, aren't you? Like that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying it's like the Assassin's Creed thing. Take a year off. It's like they're not going to. They might, I suppose, now, but they it's capitalist
just don't
society.
release Call of Duty.
Yeah. Just don't release a COD or a FIFA. Well, there won't be a FIFA this year. Well. I suppose there could be, but it won't be EA Sports.
Is there a
FIFA.
Battlefield this year? Now I mentioned it. Is there a Battlefield coming this year?
I wouldn't think so.
We didn't have one last year, did we? We had 2042 was 21.
Was it?
Yeah. Or was it 20? It definitely wasn't last year.
Are you sure? I don't know. But
I'm sure 2042 wasn't last year.
I've got a real problem.
Could it possibly have been last year?
No, it can't have been.
I'm only just coping with what year we're in.
It can't have been last year.
It was in our biggest disappointment.
That's what I'm thinking. It must have been. If not, we really missed the.
No, it wasn't. No, he's right. It was 2 years ago. We were talking about it.
Well, I mean,
we have skipped one. I mean, just do fucking Bad Company. You talk about Burnout Paradise.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it?
Just give us another Bad Company game.
Are we going to get a point where EA basically just go, right, we're going to release Burnout Paradise remake, we're going to do a Dead Space remake, we're remaking Skate, we're going to remake Bad Company. Anything else you want?
Yeah.
There's a new remake of Mass Effect. We're not going to continue.
Oh God, yeah, Mass Effect, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We tried Andromeda, you didn't like that. That board got burnt, so we're just remaking everything over and over again, and then everyone can write about and talk about, God, everyone keeps remaking everything all these days, and no one's got any original ideas.
And meanwhile, I'll buy every single one of them.
Yeah.
They win anyway.
On that note, it's the first one of 2023. It is time for...
I can only apologise. Can I just say...
Yes.
To Jake Tucker, who said that he thinks that for a live product, the production values are really high. Just hold your breath for the next...
They're about to go up.
The next 30 seconds.
They're about to go...
Meditate. Chris Hyde. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Okay, wow. I mean, you're blessed. Happy 2023, everybody. Right. Okay, so Mick sent in a lot of questions for everybody. He sent one in for all of us to start off with. He says, why are you starting 2023 by talking about a good Need for Speed game and 2 bad games when he's talking shit there? He's talking about 4 games. I mean, he's being Mick.
That's not a question.
A great game.
I mean, it's not a bad Need for Speed game. It's not one of the bad ones.
He says it's a good one.
So by definition, it has to be one of the good ones. But
he's saying High on Life and Sports Story are bad,
and
he's ignoring Chained Echoes because he only reads he only looks at thumbnails and doesn't read descriptions of videos. That's what I'm getting from this question.
Fair enough. Yeah, you've answered it, mate.
Anyone else anything to add before we go into general questions?
No, I think you've answered it perfectly.
Yeah.
Okey-doke. So Adam, your questions then.
Okay.
I mean, this is bait. Just roll with it. What's your biggest disappointment of 2022 hardware wise?
Yeah, I know. It's bait. But I don't know. Hardware wise, I mean, the graphics card situation never got better, did it? I know what he wants me to say, and I'm not going to say it.
We all know what he wants you to say.
I'm not saying it. Like, did the 40 series of GPUs technically get announced last year, or was it leaked? Because I know they're all out there now, CES and all that. But the NVIDIA 40 series, I want to say it was last year that it was either leaked, and like to see that they were just so quickly doing another series, while like the whole debacle of the 30 series, like was that even? I don't know. I'm really struggling with time.
You can't still get them, can't you? They're still.
I don't know actually. I stopped looking.
All shit, aren't they?
Need one, and it was like, I don't know. They're just. Technology's still advancing. It's basically like if everyone could calm down for a bit. And no, I don't have many hardware disappointments. I mean, it's not like back in the day when the 360 came out and everyone was getting red rings, or games ran badly on the PS3, or I really cannot think of. I mean, is it a disappointment that there wasn't a brand new Switch, like Switch 2 or whatever, Super Switch? Like, can that I guess, but. I'm still on no real rush, so that's about it.
It was on that. I mean, it was because it is about the time, isn't it? When you think about generations.
There'll be Super Switch will be 2024. Every year they say it's next year. So
there it is. Confirmed.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
I
agree, though. I think he's right.
I'm sleeping with Mr. Nintendo, so he told me.
He's a nice man, from what I've heard.
He is. He's a very nice man, very tender.
Big hands.
Okay.
What he's asked this of me, you, and Lyle, not Mick. So fuck you, Mick. What's the worst gaming purchase of 2022?
I have an answer for that, and I feel really bad saying it, but you've got to be honest, didn't you? I really regret buying Sports Story. Really regret.
Well, you two have that because we bought that. I was sitting there going, I don't know what I've bought. I mean,
yeah. I was also going to say I don't really buy anything, but I did get sent the money to buy Sports Story.
You don't even buy food anymore, apparently.
No, I don't buy anything. That doesn't happen.
Let's not dwell on the negative. Let's just do.
I was going to say, like, I paid a bit of my soul when I played Babylon's Fall. Let's give it another fucking 5 seconds of airtime for being.
Wasn't that free to play?
No, but I paid with my soul.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Isn't that free to play?
My sense of well-being.
Okay. No, I'm gonna get the joke. Right. Okay. What's the next question, Chris?
Are you excited for potential Breath of the Wild 2 amiibo? And he says specifically he's not calling it Tears of McPoo or whatever the heck the name is. So basically, are you going to get back on the amiibo?
No, I can't afford it. And like genuinely, anyway. I'm done. No, I won't because there's a Sephiroth one right now, and I'm not. Well, no, I'm not going to say I'm not tempted because I am, but I'm not going to get it.
If that's
we'll put a pin in this till later in the year and come back to it when you've got it.
This is
not only is this live,
not only is this live, the audio is archived on the podcast feed, and like it will be a video that people can watch later. Like there's no.
Kira's just asked why his name's associated with Amiibo. Your name's not associated with Amiibo; it's associated with the entire sequel to Breath of the Wild. So you're essentially a kingdom in Mick's eyes. There you
Tears
go.
of McPoo would be. I'd buy that.
Yeah, that's a better name.
We'd all buy that.
Or is it Tears of McPoo? Because I've experienced
Tears of McPoo sounds like a very different game.
GOTY.
We've all been there, lads. Don't pretend you haven't.
Do you want your questions?
Mine?
Yeah, I can do. He's already asked worst. He says Happy New Year, mate. You're the only one who got a Happy New Year. Hope 2023 is amazing for you. You did amazing stuff on the website last year. Hopefully you can play some good games this year for a change.
Get out of his ass.
No.
Well, he says that and then says I basically played shite for a year. So I'm not too sure what games I didn't play that he wanted me to play.
The two questions he sent in are so like opposing one another, but let's just get on with it. Favorite donut to have with a coffee?
Any.
I mean, does he think I'm like an American cop from The Simpsons or something, like Chief Wiggum? Like
you guys new nickname alert.
That's what's been nagging at the back of my head.
Chief Wiggum.
Chief Wiggum.
Yeah. What, that I look like Chief Wiggum, or just it's been bugging me for 4 years.
Finally.
So I don't eat donuts with coffee.
Sorry.
I fucking love coffee. So it's just going to be if I was having a donut, what would my
I can't eat anything with coffee that takes the sugar away from the coffee. I need a sweet coffee. If you eat a donut,
I don't have sugar in my coffee. Does
bitter.
everyone else have sugar in their coffee?
I
have one sugar in an instant coffee. If I was having a posh coffee, then no.
No, I mean I only drink posh coffee.
It always reminds me, talking about sugar, I think I've probably told this story, so apologies if I have again, but it reminds me of when I was in hospital and there's all these, obviously, I don't bring it up every New Year's Eve, but obviously I had a heart attack and like when I was in there, they, the nurses are going between the booths and all that going, oh, can I get you a drink? Would you like a cup of tea? And I was like, oh, that'd just be quite nice. And she says, oh, do you take sugar in it? I said, well, just one, please. And then, so she carried on to the next ward, and next cubicle. And obviously, because of the nature of why I was in there, it was mostly elderly people, elderly men. And then the elderly chap next to me, she said, and I swear to God, to this day, I thought, I don't know if he's deaf or just like, I'm getting away with it here. And she go, do you like a cup of tea? And he said, oh, yes, please. Oh, would you like sugar? Oh, yeah, well, if he's having 3 next door, I'll have 4. I was like, even in that state, I was like, I said 1, mate. And like, And like I said, one
Also,
sugar.
what he's now made sure that your tea's gonna have 3 sugars. in
No,
it.
because she obviously had heard what I'd said, so I still got me. I can't remember. I don't think I drank it. I wasn't in a very good place, Chris. But wrong of you to bring it up, really. If I'm honest with you. So you're not going to give him a
this
favourite
story's all
donut.
on me. I forgot.
Yeah. So you're not going to tell him a favourite donut to have with the coffee.
I mean, I didn't
Just
have
a sugar
Krispy Kremes
ring.
until about 2 years ago. Like I'd not.
You what? Sorry.
I don't. Yeah, I know. I haven't.
No, what did you say? Did you? No, I genuinely didn't hear it. But if I think what I heard.
I didn't have a Krispy Kreme about 2 years ago.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. I thought you said I hadn't had a donut until a couple of years ago.
No. I quite like the like the fairground donut, the like ring ones, just without a filling and like.
I think for a
crispy and
coffee,
sugar.
I think that's the one, isn't it? You have a
yeah.
ring
I think
donut.
I'd probably go with that with a coffee. So yeah, I'm going to say that.
He also wants to know, like I say, the mirror opposite question. What's your favourite salad?
Oh yeah, like I'm morbidly
donut
obese.
salad.
Like I have a fucking favourite salad. If I had to pick, it'd be Caesar salad with like loads of extra chicken and bacon and sauce.
Just put a bit of parsley on the steak and I'm good.
yeah,
Chris,
yeah.
You've reminded me of a story of I don't like to talk about it.
When
But
you
when I had
were in hospital, it's my fault again.
No, actually, it was when I was a kid when we used to go to like the pub with my parents now, and we used to get they used to take to this pub. It's called the Plough actually, and they used to have a ploughman's. Obviously, everyone knows what a ploughman's lunch is, right?
Yeah.
But I would just eat the cheese and the bread. So it was like basically I was having cheese and bread
Cheese
and then this
sandwich.
plate of everything else that was just left there. And they just every time it kept me quiet. I think is the ultimate, and they could drink. So yeah. Okay, back to you, mate. Your favourite. Back to you.
Okie doke. So Lyle, what are you looking forward to playing this month?
This particular month.
It doesn't say it has to come out this month. You could just be going rogue and playing something retro.
No, I'll probably be playing things that are coming out this month, to be honest. I'm looking forward to playing One Piece Odyssey, and there's a preview on the site and on YouTube if you want to find out more about that, but that seems like it's going to be a fun RPG. I'm looking forward to Fire Emblem Engage because we all are, because it's going to be really good, probably.
There's also a
there's
preview of that. Yep.
He's literally got these rolled up. There's also a preview of that on the site. Keep going, mate. This is brilliant.
And I am interested in Forspoken, and I'm not necessarily certain it's going to be for me, but it's one I'll probably try.
I need to play that game because like it feels like it's been forever, not Forspoken,
really
forever. And like playing the demo, I think did we talk about this on Game of the Year? We did on Game of the Year podcast.
We did
I feel like that is a bad demo for what could be actually a decent game. But it's past that point now of speculation, and I just need to play it now and know. Like there was a lot about the demo that I thought, oh, that could be quite cool. There was also a lot about it, you're like, ooh, in 2023, but like, I need to play that game. I'm some with you, Lyle. Like, it's just one of those where I have to know now. Like, I just have to know.
Yeah, I'm more interested than anything. I'm not necessarily
it could be
anticipating.
No, but it could be one of those that's like a surprise 8, or it could be like a 5 or 6. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know anymore. And normally, I find that quite rare. I find it quite rare to have a game coming out where you're like, I'm just not sure which way this is going to go, and that's kind of exciting in a way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. That's where I am too. And I'm not really saying Dead Space because I don't really play that many remakes, to be honest. So I probably won't end up playing that because there'll be too much to play.
So okay,
but that might be good. It probably will be.
Okie dokie. Now I have to read the questions as they're written on this sheet here, so I can't be responsible for any spelling mistakes that may have crept in any way, shape, or form to this question. Next question: if you had to pick a rum gola drink or mixed fruit juice with tequila as your only drinks for a week, which would you pick?
Well, the rum gola sounds very interesting.
It's where you pour rum into a really shit brand of trainer.
Oh, wow,
and then
that's a really old man reference.
I know. Wait, that's why Mick's like, yeah, I get that reference.
I understood that reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that that's supposed to be rum cola, which of those two drinks I kind of prefer because, well, basically I don't like tequila very much. I think tequila's a bit like grim, if I'm honest, of all the spirits. But
just have to get the one with a little plastic sombrero on it. Then it won't be grim. You're drinking the wrong brand of tequila.
Is the presumption of this question, or rather, is the proposition here that rum is bad and tequila is bad? Like
I mean, I think it's more. I'm having to pick one of these two.
But tequila,
liquids.
Tequila. I don't understand. Like,
I think it's just a random question. I don't think you should.
Am I overanalyzing, Christopher?
Which would you drink?
I don't know.
He
Don't
wouldn't
ask
have
me, I never
tequila.
do
He doesn't want tequila. That's the answer.
But I don't like tequila.
rum
But
cola.
I think in this situation, it's all I can drink, and it's for a whole week. And I like the idea that it's with fruit juice. It gives me a bit of my nutrients.
You like the idea that someone's forcing you to just drink alcohol?
Well, I do. I like the idea. I'll take either. Is the real answer. But I'm gonna go for the tequila, even though I don't like tequila, because I think the mixed fruit juice sounds more interesting.
Nice.
Okie dokie. What game out in 2023 is the only one that makes you want to get its collector's edition so far? What? Hang on, let me think. I think.
What game coming this year is the one that you're like, well, I want that collector's edition?
Oh, the ones you know of so far. Okay, yeah. I was like, what game out already? I was like, we're 5 days in.
I don't really buy collector's editions. To be honest, I usually sign up to like a rental service and rent games because I don't want to spend.
Because you live in the past.
Because I live in the past. I get my Blockbusters card out and I head on down. So I probably won't get a collector's edition because I don't really see how that would happen. I mean, it would have to be a really fucking good collector's edition. Maybe there'll be one that's so good that it means it's the first I've bought in about 10 years or something.
Really banging? Because the only company I can think of that do the almost obnoxiously expensive ones are THQ Nordic, who do. Do you remember many moons ago we gave away that Destroy All Humans 1, it was the first game.
Oh, the huge one.
Yeah, not the recent remake, the original remake. And it was like a box that was as big as a kid, like at the time.
Yeah.
And they're doing and it was like silly money. I think one of our Patreons won that actually, and I think that's yeah. And anyway, I think they're doing that. You
can become a Patreon for just $1 a month.
I think they're doing that same collector's edition thing, like with the new SpongeBob game as well. So they still do them. That I guess if you. I don't know. I mean, it's a far cry from like. Do you think people are invested in singular series like that anymore? Like, I think back to BioShock and the Big Daddy stuff and like that. I think that was like the, for want of a better phrase, golden era of kind of collectible steel books and stuff. And I don't know. I feel like there's so many games released nowadays on the regular that it must be very difficult to pick that one that you're like, I want that.
I always find with them that even if it's a game I'm really excited for, I never look at the collector's edition and go, wow, that's amazing. And if I ever do, it's about 300 quid too expensive for what I went to
the Call of Duty ones. The Call of Duty ones used to be at least make you go, huh? Where they had like the remote control card and the night vision goggles were one.
Yeah.
Never
I like the
got
one for Dead Island where you got like a bloodied female torso.
That was one of those. It's really weird you mentioned that because I was thinking about stuff coming this year and how obviously Dead Island 2 is due this year, and I was thinking it just made me think back and it sort of makes you think how long have you been doing this almost, and that just wouldn't fly. I don't think it really flew at the time.
Right?
I don't think it would fly at all. They got a lot of stick for it, and rightly so.
I think they did at the time get quite a bit of stick for it, but it just wouldn't happen now. And it'd be interesting to be on that marketing team and have just. I wonder if anyone just went. Do you remember when we? No.
yeah.
That's that meme where the guy's out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of one that's. I do. I to steal Lyle's question a bit. I do kind of regret. I mean, it's. I think once you hit a certain point, that level of money, you just know it would be better spent somewhere else. Whether it's on a full tank of petrol or keeping your heating on at the moment,
If I had 350 quid to spend on a statue,
it's just not happening, is it? It's just not happening. There's stuff needs doing around the house, or like I say, just put it in your bank account and have a decent month, But I did sort of wish, because I got you can't quite see it behind my head, the God of War statue from the 2018 one. I do kind of wish I'd got but again, I think it was really expensive, and I did look at it. I was like, it's just no.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to justify that level of thing.
Destiny 2 one with the ghost, and that was like 190 quid or something.
Do you remember the Halo one that had the Master Chief helmet? A mate of mine bought that. A mate of mine bought the Master Chief helmet one. He showed me the box, and it was just like, yeah, I don't know. It's Mick's turn, isn't it now?
Yeah, very similar question. Games of 2023 you want to play, Mick?
January.
I'm going to say, Jan, yeah.
Forspoken. Really looking forward to that. Played the demo, which I thought was really, really good. Really looking forward to that. And What else is coming in January now? Off the top, I can't think of.
I mean, Lyle just listed most of them. Dead Space, which is not for you.
I'm not going to play Dead Space.
I can't wait for Dead Space, man. Like that was one of my favourite games back then when we got them games. And like if they've done what they promised, I'll be quite happy. As long as it's not like somehow mechanically shit. Do you know what I mean? Because after Callisto Protocol, which was decent, but I really found it had flaws. It'd be really weird because in my head, Callisto Protocol, made by the people who came up with Dead Space, would be making the game they want to make in 2022 at the time, so modernised in a way. Do you know what I mean? And then we're going to go back now to Dead Space, which is a remake of that original game, where they've said the only thing they're doing is modernising the visuals, and you're like, well, is that enough? I don't know. But yeah.
I think the only thing I'm really in January.
Yeah.
Oh, Fire Emblem Engage, of course, yeah. Which will be my first Fire Emblem, but I really,
scary.
Because I, I know, but I'm really looking forward to Fire Emblem Engage. Yeah, so Fire Emblem, I can't say that. Fire Emblem Engage and Forspoken. That's what I'm really looking.
Mate, the amount of times I've written Fire Emblem Engage, like I don't know why I haven't blogged over that word. I cannot spell it properly. January is traditionally the month of remakes, though, isn't it? Like when you think about it,
it's literally the month.
You've got the Persona 3 and 4, Monster Hunter Rise, not a remake, but it's coming out. Dead Space, these are all.
It's PS5,
It's like Age of Empires as well, isn't there? And
is that this month as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right at the end, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, last question for you, Mick. Barring Diablo 4 and Destiny 2 expansions, what's coming out this year you would pay £70 for, no questions asked?
Tears of the Kingdom. Straight away. That's that, and I'm thinking of games.
It's probably the most anticipated game of.
I'm looking forward to a lot this year. There's a lot of stuff coming out that I'm really, really excited for. Probably more so than last year. Things like Star Wars, Atomic Heart, what we said, Forspoken. Obviously, Diablo 4.
Hearts.
Lightfall is coming. There's a Destiny expansion every year. That's not a new thing this year. But if I had all those games laid out and I couldn't pick Diablo 4. And I had £70. Tears of the Kingdom, hands down, because
you'd probably get change.
Well, yeah, maybe I wouldn't get change for a fucking PlayStation game for £70. Whatever, but no, Tears of the Kingdom's my answer for sure. Which might be boring to some, but that's the one.
Well, is Tears of the Kingdom?
I was going to do a segue, but fuck it.
Sorry, Chris. I was thinking about like the hype and stuff behind games, and like, do you remember how it was with Cyberpunk?
No.
What would be what's higher hype wise? Do you think it's got to be Tears of the Kingdom, right? Given how
I think, mate, I don't know, because Cyberpunk was kind of everywhere. Like Tears of the Kingdom is a Nintendo game, and people who like Breath of the Wild are looking forward to this. Whereas Cyberpunk was like it'd been in the zeitgeist, I guess, for like 10 years or something. It was like however long it was in development. I think that was.
I feel like Cyberpunk as well. And maybe this will ramp up, but I don't think it will to the same degree. It was in your fucking face. The months running up to it, you could not move. I still see stuff now for Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't think I'm going to be like, it's going to be all over me in the next like 4 months, I think. So I think Cyberpunk probably more just through sheer marketing. But it'll be out there for the forefront of everyone's mind. I think you ask people when Cyberpunk was coming out, everyone knows. I think if you ask people now when's Tears of the Kingdom coming out, it's like sometime this year. Like we know it's May 23rd, I think. But like a lot of other people probably won't. And I think that's probably the difference. But a lot of people are waiting for it.
The thing is as well, is like if you're talking about just like investment, it just like what you're spending your money on. Like you've got £70, it's a lot of money. You've got to buy a game. These days we know you can kind of predict that certain games are going to come out this year and the launch is going to be rocky. I'm not going to suggest that something like Diablo 4 is going to have a rocky launch, but Blizzard have got form for rocky launches. Things like these things happen, right, going forward. I don't believe for a second that anyone's going to pick up Tears of the Kingdom and go, fucking bugs in this shit. It's just not going to happen. Like, they don't release that. They don't do that.
You're right.
It's going to come out. It's going to be
outside of Pokemon,
polished.
But that's not them, I suppose.
But it's going to be as close to perfect as a game can be development-wise. I think it's going to run.
Nick, you're getting me all excited.
I just think, like, and I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan. I'm not at all, and I wasn't the biggest Zelda fan before Breath of the Wild. I didn't really like Zelda that much before Breath of the Wild. But I think if you're going to put money on something, that's a safe bet. You're not going to play Tears of the Kingdom and go, this is shite. You're not. No, it's not
Oh, you're
happen.
not?
If you
Well,
like
that's
Breath of the Wild,
let's hold that.
Lyle might. But if you like Breath of the Wild, you know.
Speaking of shit Lyle Carr opinions, Pua.
Yay!
In the highly anticipated and official Lyle Carr Best Games of the Year list 2022, God of War Ragnarok was in position number 28. Could Lyle please explain the rationale behind that placement?
Oh,
He played 27 better games.
Yeah, I did say immediately when I did this, because I think it was Dane in the Discord. He was very upset. My answer was there were 27 games better than it, which is the easy answer. And I mean, the main answer for this is that, like, I will say God of War is a great game. We talked about it a lot at Game of the Year, God of War Ragnarok. There were a lot of categories where it won. I mean, it won Game of the Year, but there were a lot of categories where it won, where I would agree, like did very well, like for graphically or audio, and all these different things. But like, it had some things that meant I didn't enjoy it as much as other people. Like, I think there are some issues with the pacing. I don't think it's always my sort of go, go, go. There's quite a lot of you walk slowly and have conversation bits, and that's not something I particularly enjoy. There were also some things that bothered me. I know Chris Hyde talked about it on one of the podcasts before Game of the Year.
Dragging me in.
about the whole characters, you walking into a room and characters just starting to tell you solutions to puzzles before you've really got your bearings. And which did bother me quite a lot. Like, there were rooms where I walked in and I was like, well, thanks. I was looking for secrets, but I guess I know what to do with this water trail coming in. I also wasn't really that big a fan of, like, there was a lot of bits where, I mean, if we're talking like sort of early side content, especially, because I kind of mainlined.
Sorry, Lol, can anyone just feel my heart breaking? Or is it just like, is it audible? Like, I'm just sitting there going,
get it closer to the mic.
Really much closer, mate. I already need a diet. I can't get him.
Yeah, the other was like, so yes, early sort of side stuff, because I did end up having to mainline it because it was very close to Game of the Year at the time, and things needed playing. But like, there were a lot of times where I'd get to an area and there'd be a chest and there'd be 3 symbols on it, and I had to spend like 10 minutes of my life searching every corner to find these symbols to open a chest. And I just thought, that's not that fun to do, and I've done it a lot now. Like, I mean, and I'm saying it's a great game. I was all for it being number 1 with what was left at the point when we were there. Yeah, it may have 27 other games that were better than it this year, but I played a lot more than that, and it was better than them. So
that's fair. I'd say fairer than that.
Moving on, everybody. Are your consoles?
No, don't address it. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you'd seen something in the live chat, and I thought you were going to address it. Do you want me?
Oh, hang on.
No, go on, ask the questions and come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Are your consoles vertical or horizontal?
PS5 is vertical. My Xbox is horizontal. PS5 is too fucking big to lay down anyway. I could sit on it if it
Do you know what the joke that
becomes a
and
desk.
I will credit Deadbeat Punk in our Patreon Discord. I will credit him for this joke because I'm going to steal it wholesale. Because did anybody else see it first?
No, I've not seen it.
It was good, wasn't it, Lyle?
it was good.
Yeah, he said my PlayStation 5 is horizontal because I've got a ceiling. Which I really, really appreciated. No, mine's vertical. Yeah, all vertical, I think. Yeah,
mine are vertical. They're on because mine are all on this desk, on this monitor. So they're just
my Xbox was vertical, but they're
not on the TV. They're not under a TV or anything.
Telly, so.
I think Switch is horizontal because it fits in the dock that way.
I was going to say no, it isn't because that would be like I haven't got one here, but that's like, is it that way up?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So
that's horizontal.
Depending on your perspective of horizontal and vertical, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the other key, by the way. EXP, just if anyone was watching the video wondering what the hell I was holding up. Yeah, they're all vertical, I think. I just think that they're just too big. There's not many entertainment systems that can hold. Like my one in here I did have the Xbox vertical. It did, but it was always worried me because there was only like a small amount of clearance for the top air gap things. So.
But I think like the PlayStation, if you lay it down, it looks like a set-top box. If you stand it up, it looks like a nice, attractive, fan or something. So
I still think that PlayStation looks like something that's come from an alien ship somewhere. Like, it's still a very strange thing to look at. But
Yeah,
it is
doesn't really
weird,
matter,
and
does
it is kind of too big. I mean, we talked about it for years. Everybody did, but
you
when I've got
say
it in
that,
a
man.
corner,
You say that, but like they can make them as big as they want within reason, if it means they don't overheat and break all the time. And
that is true. It's
touch
very
wood.
quiet as well. It is a very
and that's the
quiet
other thing. Like the PS4 was
machine.
loud. You know,
I could hear my daughter's PS4 from her room over my PS5 when I'm playing, so it's like it's mad.
we need to address the chat.
Did you not ask the last question, or did I miss it?
No, I didn't know which order we were doing things in.
You finished the pre
Finish
questions,
this, and then we'll talk to people.
Yeah.
Do you bother with fancy cable management, or just let it all do its own thing behind the TV?
My cable management gives Adam nightmares. He sees pictures.
Mine. It looks like a bomb's gone off in a licorice shop down by my feet.
Yeah, so if you could see the other side of the camera, you can see me, and I think it looks reasonably tidy.
Yeah.
There's a reason that you can only see that much of this room because I
I
can actually
worry
almost see
when-
cables over there. Like,
I sometimes worry when I go under my desk for stuff that I'm not going to come out. That I'm going to.
yeah.
You'll end up hung.
Gone forever.
You'll end up a rope will get around you and just.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever seen these videos where the people like underneath the desk? Again, this doesn't really work very well, even on the video version. But underneath the desk, where they like mount boxes underneath to the underside of the desk, where the cables run, and it's really neat, tight. Yeah. And it's like I would love that because I do like things neat, but I just don't know how long it would last. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like
I move stuff around too much.
This is
and
the
plus,
thing.
Like, when you're reviewing things like keyboards or whatever, and you're constantly moving things and unplugging stuff, I can't be arsed with it all. I've got those little cable tidy things that stick on stuff, and you can pick the cables in between. And I've got 3 of them under there, and that means there's 15 space for 15 cables. There's 3 under my desk, and there's 2 cables in all of it. That's the rest is all just loose. And one of them is just like a plug for the monitor that never ever gets unplugged or moved. So, yeah.
Well, we do have to address. I think it still comes under the listener correspondence banner, so I won't play the jingle yet. If you want to address it, Chris.
Well,
as the host of the section.
I mean, it was the only decent joke I made during listener correspondence that it was a typo.
And I knew this, and I knew it wasn't because I googled it. But it was one of those things.
Because you googled it.
No, when I googled it, it was still like I'm still not certain.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say nothing because that way I can't make myself look stupid. Chris can.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Apparently, Mick's come in to correct and say that Gola is ice shaved on a sugarcane stick, and then you dip it into rum in a glass.
And you use the stick as a straw.
It doesn't go into detail on that.
No, but if it's a sugarcane stick, I'm just guessing I'm going to stop
that's
doing
what
that
you
motion on
can
camera.
you watch your motions?
Yeah, sorry, I just realised what I was doing, so...
I mean,
does that change your answer from tequila?
It was 2 hands, mate, in fairness.
Sorry, carry on with the dicks.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Sorry. Well, let's go back to the Gola.
It does, because that sounds weirder and something that I've not had before. So
and
I'll
nicer.
take that.
Like,
it does
think
sound
everybody
good.
would
I'll have
probably try rum Gola right now.
I mean, rum's the magic word for me. Full stop in that sentence, anyway. So I was already,
we're all in.
Yeah. So I'm glad we corrected ourselves.
I'll tell you what, actually, just while you're talking about alcohol, Adam, you know that I had that condition where when I drank alcohol, my face went red. I sent you pictures. Rosa Sayer. Well, I'm proud to say that I drank so much over this Christmas period that I've beaten that affliction.
I did notice that you seem to be drinking more on the podcast generally, and I'm like,
I've witnessed it in person. It's great.
I won some drinks at work. So I had like a bottle of pink gin and whiskey, and I'd never tried pink gin because I'm not a big drinker. And at Christmas, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a few drinks. I did have a few drinks every other hour for several days in a row. And somehow, I'm here to tell you that you can overcome.
You can drink through the pinkness. Drink through the pink.
Can I just say that Mick is not a qualified medical professional,
but
and
you should do what he
you
said.
shouldn't do what he said. If you have a condition as such, speak to your doctor before imbibing too much alcohol. But in his case, he was fine.
Good use of the word imbibe as well there.
Yeah,
imbibe's good.
Sometimes I come out with some good stuff. Not often, I know, but sometimes. Right, is that it, Chris?
Yeah. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
Jesus, in the live chat, Kieran is there saying he has Rosa saying he's going to try Dr. Mixed treatment. We will not be responsible for any...
Hashtag drink through the pink.
Drink through the pink. I'm not suggesting that you do this, Kieran, but if you do, hit it fucking hard, mate, and really give it some, because otherwise it probably won't work.
What if it only works because it was pink gin and you have to counteract the pink with the pink?
I didn't even think about that.
That would be absolutely
incredible. That actually makes scientific sense.
Not being funny, I think we should stop talking about this in case you're just about to give away $1 billion idea, because it could be, you know, that it's a bit like the flaming Moe in The Simpsons. Like, just walk away from this. Thanks to Chris for the listener correspondence. Thank you if you watched live or if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast. It's the first one of the new year. We're going to try and get back to doing it weekly. We never really promise it's every week now because life finds a way sometimes, doesn't it? But we will try to get back to being regular. We've got loads to talk about. Didn't even talk about Fire Emblem this week. Let's say the preview went up today as we're recording this. So go and have a look at that. But go and have a look at everything as well. Thank you to Chris, to Lyle, and to Mick for being here. I don't need to pimp the Patreon because Chris already did that, but do go and have a look anyway, just if you'd like to join our community on Discord. Some lovely people who've provided a lot of the questions. In fact, all of the questions that came from Patreon this week. You can follow us if you don't already. If you're listening to this on the audio version, you can follow us on Spotify, on youtube.com/GodIsAGeek. You can follow us pretty much everywhere, on Facebook, blah-de-blah. Other social medias are available, I'm sure. But other than that, all it remains to say is thank you very much for watching. Happy New Year, I suppose. Do we want to say Happy New Year?
Happy New Year.
What's the cut-off? What's the cut-off?
February.
March.
March.
You can't say Happy New Year through February, unless you're still pissed from Christmas, which I might be. But...
Hey, listen. In this, oh God, in this world, who wouldn't want to be pissed through February? But thank you very much for watching this podcast, and on a cheery note, we'll speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye bye for now.
Bye.